Literature, volume 57. Very old book, but a very good book.
1783.
Yep, 1783. It was not meant for Negro eyes. Now it is. Read that, Professor. No, it's often the scene of the slave trade.
The scene of the slave trade extends far beyond Guinea, though that coast furnishes the Europeans with the greater number of slaves for their American and West Indian colonies. The Portuguese, indeed, still procure slaves from their East African settlements, especially Mozambique.
It's a huge, keep that in mind, Mozambique is a huge epicenter of slave trading. Mozambique. Go ahead.
And the French transport small numbers of slaves from Madagascar
Another huge slave port. Go ahead.
to Isle de France and Bourbon. It is generally imagined that the Europeans were the first who taught the Negroes this cruel branch of trade, but the poor Negroes had already tasted of the hardest slavery long before the arrival of the Portuguese
Because of the Arabs and Africans that enslaved us first. And they came across us. Go ahead.
on their coast. No barbarous nation had ever so far forgotten the rights and dignity of human nature as these African Negroes.
Jump down as far
as their history can be traced, and the northern neighbors of the Negroes, the Arabs in Morocco,
the Arabs in Morocco. Go ahead.
were the first who purchased slaves of Negroes,
They were the first. They were the first. Along with the Hamites. Go ahead.
Ever since the year of Christ, 990, the Moroccans had extended their conquest to the northern banks of the Senegal. And from that time, there are continual traces of an intercourse between these two nations. By these conquerors, the Arabic language, circumcision, the Quran, and some other rites of Mohammedanism, and even some sort of civilization, not yet entirely lost among the black tribes beyond the river of the Gambia, were introduced among the Negroes.
Islam. Go ahead.
The first account of the Negro trade of the Moors
The Moors. The Moors is us. Go ahead.
in northern Africa is to be found in the Nubian Geographer, page 8 of the Latin version. This trade was still carried on in the 15th century, when the Portuguese began to establish new marts for the slaving trade on the coast, as appears from the frequent accounts of their first navigators. Even now, a bartering trade of horses against men is continued between the Negroes and Moroccans, a trade which the immense annual exportation of slaves by Europeans to America have not yet stopped.
Because this book was published in 1783, so the slave trade was going on when this book was published. Go ahead.
In order not to lose this branch of trade, the Moroccan fell none but stone horses to the Negroes on the Senegal. The first rivals of the Arabs for the slaving trade were the Portuguese.
So the rival slave traders of the Arabs was the Portuguese. Go ahead.
Since 1445, whose preceding voyages were made merely in continuation of the war against the Arabs, who King Alphonsus III had expelled from his dominions. The kidnapping pursuits of the Portuguese were favored by the papal donation of the new discovered countries.
The church sanctioned the slave trade. Go ahead.
Till Prince Henry, who meant to improve the discovery in Africa to other purposes than merely for the extirpation of Mohammedanism, forbade the kidnapping to his navigators.
Go ahead.
Pope Nicholas V, in that famous bull, by which he granted the unknown world to the Portuguese and Spaniards, expressly permitted and ordered the Christians to reduce all infidels into slavery.
That's us. Go ahead.
And ordered
All
zealous
infidels means those of us who did not accept Christianity. We were forced to go into slavery. Those of us who kept the laws of God, the commandments, were forced to go into slavery. Go ahead.
in order zealously executed by both these nations. In the meanwhile, the Portuguese were advancing nearer and nearer to the countries abounding in gold, and discovered in the progress of their navigation many useful and valuable articles of trade. That of pepper, now found by them, gave the first shock to the East India trade.
Gave the first shock to the East India trade. Keep that in mind.
Till then carried on by the Venetians,
Go ahead.
in order to procure plenty of pepper, a spice of which incredible quantities were consumed in those ages.
Jump down to it is still carried.
It is still carried on within its ancient limits along the seacoast, though it now reaches further up into the inland countries of Africa. And the same articles of trade which had already been imported by the Arabs are still eagerly sought for by the Negroes. Only the number of European traders and settlements has greatly increased, and the Portuguese have lost their monopoly on the coast. Professor Springle devised the history of the Negro trade carried on by the Christians.
Carried on by who?
By Christians.
Negro trade was carried on by Christians. Go ahead.
Into two principal periods. The first from 1443 to 1645, and the second from 1645 to the present time.